welcome back. Welcome back to Derbyshire. More specifically, the path leading from Holy Moorside up towards Spike Winter. And I'm out for a bit of a walk today. Started in Chesterfield, near the council buildings there. Lisa and I have just been for a late breakfast, and I'm walking home the long way. I'm going to head up to Ashover Rock there to the Fabric, and then we'll see what happens from there. But it's a beautiful autumnal day. So I thought I would do a quick recap. I did promise that I would do one regarding the Pennine Way. It's been about 3 weeks now since the finish, and I do want to start off by saying a huge, ginormous, fantastic thank you to everyone that dug deep and donated to the page. Those that watch the videos will know that I only really set it up halfway through the journey, and we raised about £3,300, and with gift aid it's near 4,000, which is absolutely phenomenal. And if I'd got a hat, I'd take it off to each and every single one of you. But those that weren't able to donate, that's not a problem at all. I do really appreciate the fact that people were following the videos and commenting and spurring me on. You really don't know how much it meant, honestly, and I certainly can't put into words how great it felt to have everyone watching every day and spurring me on. It was, I suppose, one of the things that helped me get to the end, definitely. So I suppose I really ought to recap my favourite bits. Over the 15 or 16 days or whatever it worked out to be, there was a lot of highlights. I think for me, the people that I met along the way were one of the huge highlights. Rob, Murray, Julie, various other people, and they were what made it what it was. Dale coming along for a few days, he made it such an enjoyable time when he was around. When he came and we did Crossfell and we did Hadrian's Wall, having him along was amazing. It really was. So I've been thinking over the last few weeks, if I had to name one point that perhaps wasn't great, that would have to be, and I'm sure others would agree too, Blenkinsop Moor. That's the point that you reach just before you arrive at Greenhead, and the video thumbnail was actually me ankle deep in bog in my trail shoes. But do you know what, other than that, it was a really great adventure, and every day had a different surprise and another great view to see. Hadrian's Wall is obviously a highlight. That last day over the Cheviot, 28.5 miles or whatever it turned out to be, that was one of the best days of hiking I have ever done. Bearing in mind this year we went to Yosemite, it is up there with Yosemite. That last day, we're just about to cross the river at the moment, so hopefully you can hear me. The last day was amazing, made even better by the fact that Lisa was there. She walked from Kirk Yetholm the 5 or so miles uphill and then walked back with me towards the end, and if you've seen that last video, the weather was absolutely perfect, as it was for the whole journey. So I do realise that weather can contribute quite a lot to the quality of a journey, and I was lucky. I'm going to hold my hand up now and say that it could have been a lot worse. It really could. We had about 1.5 days of rain. We had that rain on the day from Diggle to Stand Edge and Studley Pike, and then that half a day when Rob and I walked from Malham over towards Horton and Ribblesdale and tackled Pen again in some really bad weather. But other than that, you know what? It was amazing. It really was. That F word, fantastic. And Team Hobnob is now a thing. All thanks to Lisa for sneaking those hobnobs in the bag and saying there's a surprise in there for you when times get hard. On that first day that I did, it was 25 miles, Mankin Holes to Earby Hostel. 25 miles, and in the last 5 miles I bust out those hobnobs, and then the rest is history. I've been thinking about it quite a lot over the last few weeks, and you may be pleased or upset to know that I'm going to be doing another one very soon indeed. I've been wanting to do the Cleveland Way for a while. The Cleveland Way is 109 miles around the North York Moors. It starts at Helmsley, past Osmotherley and Rosebery Topping, places like that. Head towards the coast at Staithes, and then down past Whitby, Robin Hood's Bay, Scarborough to the end at Filey. And I'm very pleased to say that Lisa's going to join me for it as well. So there will be daily videos from that one. That's in about a week and a half's time, something like that. But I may have mentioned in the previous videos on the Pennine Way that I've been doing a lot of running, and I say a lot, I've not done much running, any running for the last 2 months, mainly because I didn't want to injure myself before the Pennine Way. I did the Hardwick run, which was a 10k, and because I was experiencing the runner's high, I entered the Chesterfield half marathon, which is a week tomorrow. So the plan is Chesterfield half marathon, and then have a day off, and then start the Cleveland Way. It might be a silly idea, but you know what? After watching this morning the amazing achievement by Eliud Kipchoge, he did a sub 2 hour marathon. And you know what? If he can run that, I'm sure I can run a half marathon in 3 hours or whatever it ends up being. I've done half marathon distance trail running before, but I haven't done much road running of that length. Probably the furthest I've done is about, I don't know, maybe about 15k, something like that, on the road. Let's continue with a walk, and we'll talk a bit more further on. Well, that's a stone edge chimney, and you know what, I've been past it so many times and I've never ventured across this bit of moorland here to come and look. And it turns out, according to the sign there, it's the oldest industrial chimney in Britain. Good old Derbyshire, eh? Right, back to the route. Let's see if I can quickly remember each day then. Day 1, Edale to Crowden. I was on familiar territory there, set off from Edale over Kinder, over Black Hill and down to Crowden. It's a really great day, the paths are really good. I was lucky with the weather once again. Amazing views down to Kinder Reservoir. First night's accommodation was great at the Torside B&B there. The next day, the great climb to Lado Rocks and Black Hill, and then up and over to Diggle. That's a really good place. I've got the end of the tunnel there, the Stand Edge Tunnel. After that, we've got traffic. Day 3 was over towards Stand Edge, the White House Hotel or White House Inn, and I went to the Studley Pike Monument and down to YHA Mankinholes. Just pause you there for a second. That car was noisy. From YHA Mankinholes on day 4, that was the big day, the 25-mile day, and the climb out of Hebden Bridge wasn't as hard as I remember, and it was an undulating day over uphill and down Dale and past Top Withens to the eventual finish point, which was the Earby Independent Hostel. Stay there if you can. The next day was quite a short day to Malham. I think it was about 11 or 12 miles, and Rob and I pretty much walked that together, stopped for chips in Gargrave, and I stayed in the youth hostel at Malham, which was very impressive as well. The next day was that day past Malham Cove, Malham Tarn, and the rain came when we arrived at Fountains Fell. When we hit Fountains Fell, up and over, and then to Pennygent, down into Horton and Ribblesdale. And that was the day I was so glad I wasn't camping. The next day was up and over to Hawes. That's quite a good day, quite a drag at times, especially if the weather was bad. I think you'd find that one a bit of a drag. Up and over I think it's the Roman Road and the well-graded track there, but Hawes is such a nice place, it kind of makes up for it. The next day, Lisa stayed that night, we went to the waterfall, which the name in the moment escapes me, and then I climbed up and over Great Shunnafell, and it felt so good to get there. I was quite hyper that day, heading up the climb, listening to some Hans Zimmer, but then at the top, just over, I was looking down into Swaledale and to Thwaite, the place that I'd failed in my previous attempt at the Pennine Way. But it was so good to get there, so good to get to that emotional milestone, to pass that point where I'd failed before and beat myself up about it for years, I'll be honest. From there, I finished at Tan Hill. Lisa fetched me, we stayed in an Airbnb. I came back, we met Chris. Chris walked with me from Tan Hill to Middleton Teesdale, and that walk just went so quickly. It's a little bit undulating, a lot of boggy moorland there, perhaps maybe a little bit uneventful, but that walk over the hill and down into Middleton Teesdale was amazing. The view as you arrive in Middleton Teesdale was great, it really was. Just the layer of the river, the town, the farmland and the moorland at the top, it just frames it perfectly. Had a great night in Middleton Teesdale, got a pizza, which was always good. And then after that, I met my friend Jess the next day, and we walked up the spectacular river there to River Tees, obviously. And I passed Low Force and High Force and went up and over the top, hike up Nick, down to Dufton. What can I say? It was so great to get there. And Dale joined me the next day. We climbed up Crossfell, up and over to Greg's hut, and then I eventually finished at Alston, which it was an interesting place. The accommodation that I stayed in that night, and the lady that ran it, the Chinese lady, was hilarious, and it was well worth staying there. From then, Alston to Greenhead, that was the day that I was talking about, where it perhaps wasn't so eventful. There was not a great deal to see other than the Roman fort and the railway line with some nice viaducts, so they do make up for it, I suppose. But that Blenkinsop Moor, just before you arrive in Greenhead, oh yeah, I've been told about that previously, and people afterwards have said, yeah, that's probably not my favourite bit either, just because the path goes to nothing and it's so boggy in places. But it's not too bad. I mean, I'm saying that it probably wasn't my favourite part, but you know what, it isn't such an ordeal. Probably because I've been asked what my least favourite bit was, I've really had to pick that one, really, even though it was an enjoyable day. Got eaten alive by midges down by the river where I had lunch, but other than that, can't really complain too much. And then once again, Dale met me for the day along Hadrian's Wall, and I went to Bellingham. Hadrian's Wall, what can I say? That 10 miles that you walk up and over all the different mile castles past Sycamore Gap, it really is a spectacular day. So that's got to be one of the highlights of the whole route. Bellingham, lovely place, stayed in some nice accommodation, and after that I walked over towards Bynes. Well, that was a good day. The weather was amazing. I'm going to pause you for a moment now while I cross the road. That final day from Bynes at the Forest View Walkers Inn, Colin, Joyce, absolute legends. 28.5 miles it turned out being, according to my Fitbit and View Ranger. It was billed as 25, but I also did the Cheviot as well. I'd kind of considered like skipping that if the weather was bad, but you know what, I was that close. It's only like a 1.5 mile detour and then a 1.5 mile back, so it kind of does add like 2.5 miles to it, I think, from memory, if that's right. But you've got to do it, you really have. I said in the video that you can break that last day up if you wish at Forest View Walkers Inn, they'll fetch you from like a halfway point and drop you off the following day and you can carry on, but I'm so glad that I chose to do it. I mean, I'll show you some video now, but the weather was so amazing. I was really lucky, I'll be honest. I've said it already, I was lucky with the weather. That was the final day of that weather window in September there. I was really lucky. The next day, it threw it down. We went to, where did we go afterwards? We went to Whitley Bay, to the Spanish city. I'd always wanted to go there. Been before, while they were still restoring it. But because I'm a fan of Mark Knopfler, the Tunnel of Love, it's mentioned in that song. I've always wanted to go. Right, that's the Pennine Way. Once again, I'm really grateful to everyone that watched the videos and that donated to the page. It was a selfish adventure, something I've been wanting to do for a long while, and I'm so glad I ticked it off. I did a video before I started the Pennine Way actually. I camped up on the Gritstone Edge, not far from here now actually, and recorded a video, and I was talking about my struggles with dealing with failure. And you know what? I didn't post it. I didn't post it through fear of what other people would think, but I did open up on the journey along the Pennine Way about how I'd not really handled it that well and really beat myself up about failing or choosing to stop. And that's what it was. The fact that I'd chosen to stop when I know that I could have carried on. That's what it was. So that is the failure there, that I didn't carry on when I know that I could have done. Looking forward to another journey along another great national trail, the Cleveland Way, soon. It's going to be a good one. What I'll do is I'll upload the before thoughts that I spoke about. That video will probably follow this one, and it'll be before the Cleveland Way. Fingers crossed everything goes all right with the half marathon. Don't want to hurt myself on that one. Don't really want to jeopardize the Cleveland Way, to be honest. I think that is my priority at the moment, the Cleveland Way, but I've just been in Chesterfield. I was umming and ahhing about doing the half, but having seen all the banners up and this road will be closed for the half marathon signs, I've got to do it. You know what, I'm sure I can struggle through it, no problem, but it's not going to be a fast time. But that's not what it's all about. It's about ticking off those little life goals, little milestones. I've rambled on a long time. Team Hobnob, my fellow Hobnob heads, my brothers, my sisters in the Hobnob universe, thank you very much once again for all your support on the Pennine Way. It means such a lot. Let's head to Ashover Rock, but I'm going to leave you with that. I think that'll do. I didn't take much kit. All I took was clothes. I'm so glad that I decided to stay in accommodation. It was what made it what it was. Don't worry too much about kit, people. Really don't. Just take what you're comfortable with. I really don't like talking about kit because kit's very a personal thing in a way. What works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. So go out, trial, error, work out what you need and what you don't need, and just get rid of it. People along with the way were asking me to do kit reviews and like a bag load out, and I hate doing that. I'm not really a fan of it. It's all about the journey, all about the memories. The kit is just a means to an end. I really have rambled now. Thank you, people. Speak to you all soon. Bye for now.